Before we start, I would like to have you all welcome a guest here tonight, Flat Stanley. You all probably remember him from your kids. I'd like to open this up with a public hearing on zoning and code revisions. Does anybody sign up to speak?
Tony Sturm. Hello, Tony Sturm from 41 Parkhurst Road. What I wanted to comment on, it was not clear to me at the last meeting which zoning amendments were voted on. The numbers got thrown out there pretty quickly. And so this one might have already been voted on, but I remain concerned about the increased footage requirement for R2 properties that are a two-family home or that have a mother-in-law apartment. And I think given that our housing shortage that's pretty ubiquitous in our country, and certainly reasonable rental property shortages, that limiting the ability of property owners to, it's just cut off, I think. Yep.
Wasn't even 2 minutes either.
That limiting property owners' ability from taking advantage of that and creating a rental unit, whether it's for outside rental or for their lovely mother-in-laws, I think is poorly thought out. Somebody had mentioned when I spoke about this last month that there were concerns about fire prevention, and I assumed it was from neighboring properties. Well, increasing the square footage required in a property does not address that at all. You would need to increase the setbacks from the sides of the property or widen the road frontage that's required. So that does not make sense to me. That's all. Thank you. Thank you.
Does anybody else want to speak? Someone want to make a motion to close public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Come on up.
This is not the public comment period, it's about the specific zoning changes. Yeah.
You got a motion?
I second it.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Y'all want to stand for the pledge for regular meeting, please?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Supervisor Lamb?
Yeah.
Deputy Supervisor McCachran?
Here.
Councilman Bogardis?
Here.
Councilwoman Colligan? Here. Councilman O'Connor?
Here.
Anybody signed up to speak in public
Yes.
comment?
Joseph Masher?
Hi, my name is Joe Masher. I'm the owner of Scene One Entertainment, and forgive me, this is allergies with the weather. It's a little bit crazy. I've operated theaters in many, many malls across the nation throughout my career. I will say that Wilton Mall is quite a bit different than many other malls around the nation. I have a theater, for instance, in South Carolina, where the mall is completely dead. So as the chief operating officer of Bowtie Cinema some years ago, I watched my bosses get out of the lease for the Wilton Mall, and I didn't agree with the decision. I wanted to get back in there as soon as I could, and now post-COVID that I bought my company, I reopened the theater when it was the right time. I did that seeing all the great economic development that's been happening around the mall. Macerich has done a great job in keeping as many spaces as they could leased. But I also see amazing opportunity knowing other malls, like I said, across the nation that have done this before. You know, I've experienced where a mall has added some retail and residential units to the building, and it's made the mall thrive again. And that's what I think is going to happen at Wilton Mall. You guys have a very unique opportunity here in town to make this mall back into the grade A mall that it once was. If we are fortunate enough to get these apartments built, the theater will thrive, the entire mall will thrive, and I know deep down you will see all of the mom and pop leases in that mall turn over to big national first-class retail. I also wanted to get this mall open again to add more things to it. The movie business has changed, so I'd love to add an alcohol component to the theater with a beer garden component maybe in the future, and a stage in one theater for comedy shows, live entertainment, open mic nights, town meetings, can fit more people. So, and that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Susan Hone, is that correct? I think
Shorter than most people. Just a few comments tonight. You've heard me speak before. I do speak in support of the Wilton Mall proposed multifamily project. I do think it is the best and possibly the last opportunity for lasting economic development in this particular site. Secondly, I think it's the next and potentially the best evolution for the mall, and as an attraction and asset for Wilton. The movie theater reopening has been fantastic, and I think that this is going to help to attract better shops, better restaurants, high-quality shopping experiences, etc. As I've said before, the infrastructure is in place. The argument to the contrary is not a valid argument. The housing is needed here and all across New York State. I beg of you to ignore the slippery slope argument that you're going to probably hear again and again, that if we allow this, how do we avoid having more and more apartments? How do we avoid it? These fine folks up here have the ability to vote against future projects to disallow that sprawl. I ask you, instead of paying attention to these weak arguments, to pay attention instead to the hundreds and hundreds of dead malls that are blights in multiple towns across America, and ask yourself, do you think that's the future for America? I mean, for Wilton. And lastly, I don't usually resort to frothy emotional appeal. It's not my style. But I do want to say that when my children were young, I brought my children to that mall, and as did many young mothers and many elderly folk, and we all knew that we could walk the perimeter of the mall, and it was exactly 1 mile, and there was a carousel and a food court there, and it was amazing in the wintertime. And this project's going to bring that back. Now, my children are 23 and 26, and they've gone off, and they're in the military. I'm so proud of them. I can only hope that one day I will walk my grandchildren in the perimeter. I'm not there yet, but I will hope that one day I can walk my grandchildren in the perimeter of the mall. Mark my words, this is potentially the last best opportunity that we have to inject this kind of economic development into this town. Thank you. I actually did it under 3 minutes tonight.
Thank you.
Jonathan Herrick.
Yes, hi, good evening. Jonathan Herrick, 1590 Hub. There's a couple conversations here that are happening tonight. You have residential, commercial housing shortages. As the town discusses moving a commercial property into a residential mixed-use property, I think the town needs to look at maybe having a committee following what the city of Saratoga has done based on the short-term rentals. I currently live in a neighborhood that there are multiple properties that are owned by commercial businesses that are renting houses out full-time, short-term. So it's a corporation full-time business on a residential street. There might be other people here that experience this. So that's what I suggest here to the committee is that, or to the board here, that there be a committee developed to address short-term rentals in town.
We are working on that. We have that. Thank you.
Mike Price?
I wonder where you're hiding.
I want to talk to the board and ask them, with all the construction, all the development going on in Wilton, is there any kind of plan for possibly a part-time, daytime paid fire department? Because as we know, it's very hard for the volunteer fire department to come to fires during the day because most of them working. And we definitely know that for a fact that it's hard to get them there in time. Where Saratoga is a paid fire department, and they come and they help us out. But if we're inviting 600, 700, 800 more people every year with all this building, how are we going to protect them? How can we possibly do that if we don't have the resources to man a fire department during the day? Granted, we have a great fire department, but if they can't get there because they work for a living, how can we help these people? We're bringing them, we're letting them come in. I actually think that's a bad idea until we have some kind of backup plan. We pay the sheriff's department to patrol our area. We're going to have to hire more, obviously, at some point. It's going to trickle down. The more people, the more things that's going to have to be protected. Fire, police, emergency services. So instead of getting hit last minute, 3 years from now, maybe we should consider starting to get a plan going now so that after we have 2,000, 3,000 more residents in another 2 years, that we can't service them. If there's a house fire, it's life and death to get the men there during the day. And I know that for a fact, and so do some of you. So I think that's something we really should kind of think of, before we start allowing so much building and get shorthanded. We are shorthanded, but, we really should consider something like that. Thank you.
I know we're always looking for volunteers.
Maybe me and you got to sign back up. John.
Running.
Eileen?
He seems to think we should sign back up. Mike, could you use a couple more good nights?
Eileen, I'm sorry, what is your last name? Finneran, thank you.
Hi, I'm actually from Saratoga Springs, and I just came to say what I think is such a great idea for reusing the mall and putting housing in it. I worked in city government for many years. We tried to get inclusionary zoning to help put some more reasonable housing in Saratoga, and what better way to get housing in a building that is just sitting there. A lot of it is just sitting there vacant. And the woman said, my kids, when they were little, all went to the mall, and now it's kind of sad. I'm so glad that the movie theater has opened. I'm also glad that reopening the spectrum. But I just came to say thank you for working on this so hard, and I hope you pass it. Thank you.
Tony Sturm?
Hi, Tony Sturm, 41 Parkhurst. I just wanted to reiterate my support for the apartments at the mall. Reiterate some of the benefits, that there would be about $7,000 net to the Saratoga school system, that there would be over $370,000 in sales tax revenue going to the town of Wilton. This project is utilizing already paved over space. There is virtually no environmental impact. And the final one is maybe even the biggest one, that it's the only chance I think we really have to revitalize the mall. And that in turn helps protect some of our sales tax revenue. I wanted to comment on some of the negatives that people have raised about the mall project. The first one is that it's been stated that, this project might increase our taxes. I have never come across anything that would suggest that, and in fact, I think it's exactly the opposite. as the mall slowly dies, our sales tax revenue will go down. A new industry, let's say an industrial park or maybe another huge distribution center comes in, those projects are often accompanied by tax breaks that the town gives them to help encourage them to come in. And finally, were concerns raised about excessive traffic, and the traffic study has shown that the way the infrastructure for traffic in that area was first built would handle the amount of traffic for these apartments. And I would take it a step further and say, well, if this project doesn't go in, the mall will die, and it will die slowly over 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. We'll have a blighted building. We'll be losing tax revenue, and then when something new comes in, it will be a huge distribution center or light industry. And what kind of traffic are we going to have then? We're going to have traffic of shift workers. We're going to have big clumps of traffic, or even heavy truck traffic. So I challenge that comment as having really any validity as a negative of this project. So I hope the board does vote positively for it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Somebody want to make a motion to approve March's minutes?
I'll make a motion. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Margot, you're up. Wilton Wildlife.
Already?
Where you been?
Do you need it down?
Oh, Mike, where are you?
Up here?
Yes.
I don't have my glasses. Oh, you got it?
Way above Mike.
It'll take a second. Should gotta warm up, but it did turn on. Yeah.
You can go through the rest of it. Warming up.
Is that visible?
Hang on. There we go.
Perfect, thank you. Thank you. I'm Margot Olson. I'm the Executive Director at Wilton Wildlife Preserve and Park. Thank you for inviting me for doing the quarterly report. We do this, I guess, 4 times a year. But you always joke, it seems like more, but it is just 4 times a year. I do want to point out that I have some guests that came with me today, but they didn't want to come up. So Marnie Onderdonk, who is one of our co-secretaries, is in the back. Matthew Michek, who is our co-chair of the board. And then Trish, who is on the steering committee for Camp Saratoga. I think those are the Wilton Wildlife people who accompanied me this evening. So you have the handout that was prepared for the first quarter of the year. So that has some information about, our programs and and the winter season itself, which we all know, it wasn't there and now here it is. So as it said in the document that you have, we had a very off winter season, but we still remain very busy with lots of programs with schools, with the public, and when we could, renting out the winter equipment as we have at Camp Saratoga in past winters. I wanted to start with the update on the Larry Gordon Outdoor Education Center project that I've been reporting on and that we've been working on for quite some time. I included a couple pictures here for those of you who haven't been down to Camp Saratoga to see that Scott and Roy did the floor supports that are in, the beams are in there now. The new windows have been installed. So we're waiting now for Scott to have, I should say, a window of opportunity to come back and start doing some of the other work there so that they can start finishing up. I know that they have placed an order for some of the wood, some of the electrical supplies, different things that they need to finish the interior of that, the welcome cabin there in the parking lot. So again, we're continuing to work with the LA group. We're trying to finalize the accessible pathways and site plan for Camp Saratoga. We showed you the plan that they developed for Camp Saratoga North. And so now they're working on Camp Saratoga South on the other side of the road. They're leading down to the dining hall along the pond there so that we can include that accessible pathways and site planning to be the whole campus, not just the north side. We're working on the documents needed for the New York State Parks grant that we got. I know that Ryan has been working to help. We're trying to get all of the materials together for that. One of the things, and I've talked with John, with Ray, with Maria, that we have to put a memorandum of understanding that's required by the state between us and the town. So that's something that hopefully we'll be bringing to the next town board meeting so that we can get that grant contract executed and get started on that. We're finalizing exhibit text. We got the measurements for the Winter Lodge to begin the exhibit plan for that as well. Talking to Spectrum to schedule the date for bringing the phone service over to the other side of the railroad bridge. We continue to get estimates and pricing. We're really trying to get the numbers as accurate as possible as we can for the total project, so that helps us with the fundraising, again, as we're preparing for the launch of the capital campaign. So just an update here on the fundraising to date. As you see, the price has gone up a little bit, as we're looking at the dining hall and finding out like what needs to be fixed. Is there a roof that needs replacing? Is there something else that we haven't taken into account when we were first looking at it? So we're at under $800,000 for the total project at this point. That's estimated. And as I said, we're trying to sharpen our pencils and get that number closer to being the final number. So we see the $188,000 from the grant, the $100,000 from the Day Command Steward Shops, $20,000 from Frank Perillo, the Wilton Wildlife Board and Pass Forward has donated $22,350, Larry Gordon Friends and Scouting People, another $11,850, and then other funds, $23,305. So we have raised so far $365,505. So we still have a ways to go, but we feel very optimistic about how we're doing. And this number does not include the D.A. Collins. We had a great meeting with Dave Collins, and they were agreeing that they will donate all of the materials that we need, so the stone dust for the paths, the material that we need to extend the parking lot a little bit of parking lot 1 and then repave the surface will be donated by D.A. Collins. And again, the materials that are needed on the other side of the road going towards the dining hall and that little the accessible parking lot for people for fishing right there next to the pond. So all of those materials will be donated by D.A. Collins, which is really wonderful. And the LA group has been donating their expertise for that pathways and site planning. And then, of course, the town of Wilton is contributing in so many different ways, but in particular with Scott and Roy in that construction, that in-kind labor for the construction efforts. So that's the April update for that. Hopefully, when I'm back in 3 months, I'll have pictures of the interior, and I can say that the project's really moving along. So I wanted to just, give you a little visuals surrounding the programming, as I mentioned in the report. We do a lot of programs, at Camp Saratoga for the public, again, year-round. So these are just some images from the first quarter, since this is the first quarter report, of things that happened. Sometimes there was snow, but usually there wasn't. And so, again, the walks took place regardless. So people still like to get out and enjoy nature even when the winter weather didn't cooperate. So again, just some more images from Camp Saratoga. You can see this is the campfire area over by the Winter Lodge. This was a program that our interns did on maple sugaring, and we got a nice group of people that came to learn about how maple sugar takes place and to taste some different sugar. So different kinds of programs that took place at Camp Saratoga in the first quarter. We also do a lot of programs in the schools, after-school programs, and then programs that take place during the school day for teachers to help them with their curriculum needs. So again, just a little bit of an idea of kind of what that looks like with kids doing the programs. These two little boys up here, they planted lupin seeds in the classroom, and they learned all about the carnivore butterfly, and the wild blue lupin, and Glacial Lake Albany, and their class is now going to come and visit the park in the spring on a field trip where they'll plant those plants. So, and then we also go out in the community. We're invited to a lot of different events. This one up in the corner here was just Wednesday. We were at the Spa State Park for the geyser fish stocking event. So we were there greeting the families and the kids there and teaching them about turtles. And then these other pictures were from the Adirondack Sports and Fitness Expo, where we were there with a lot of other community organizations. You can see Saratoga Plan in the background, the Mountain Bike Association, lots of the organizations that help get people outdoors. So we handed out maps and talked about our programs and had an educational table about the different kinds of animals that you would find here in Wilton. So, I don't to read all of this. I just wanted to give you a little bit of a flavor too of what's coming up in our calendar for the rest of the spring. So again, we're partnering a lot with different community organizations. So you can see we're going to be at the Children's Museum. We were just at the Spa State Park. We're participating in the Sustainability Fair at Skidmore College as part of Sustainable Saratoga, Academy for Lifelong Learning, Saratoga Springs Library, the Two Life Cancer Survivors Support Group, the Saratoga Literacy League, the YMCA, Capital Region Prism, Moreau Lakes, the 4-H. So these are all organizations that we're partnering with to present programs in the community to help them serve their community and help us to, meet our mission and spread the message that we're trying to work with in the community. And then, so again, these are programs that we're running that will take place this spring. So we're just getting all the entries starting now for our annual Earth Day essay contest. Campfire chats, different nature walks, different programs. We got the Arts Council grant again, so we can do painting in nature at Camp Saratoga. And we got another grant from Saratoga Arts, and we're going to be bringing a Native American storyteller to do a campfire program right there at that campfire circle where we have the maple sugar program. So we'll be doing a program with storytelling group on Onondaga. And then this is just a laundry list of a lot of the different schools that we have scheduled to do programs that will be coming, in those school buses and doing programs at Camp Saratoga. So, of course, North Nolan, Ballard Road, Schuylerville, Lake Avenue, those are all the schools that have kids from Wilton who go, plus then you can see all around, not just Saratoga, but in the broader region that we have kids coming and taking advantage of the programs and getting out and seeing wonderful facilities at Camp Saratoga, getting out on the trails and learning about the different plants and animals.
That's impressive that you've got kids coming from all over.
Right.
Yeah.
Bethlehem, brought all.
Yeah. What's
Pretty
cool
cool.
is like we're serving our community well,
Yeah.
but also we have like this
Good.
broader community that we are able to serve.
Yeah.
So it's not.
Excellent.
So I don't know if you have any questions about.
You're doing a wonderful job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Code amendments for schedules for R1, R2, H1, existing boundaries for R1 and H1 zones, 615 residential chickens, 109-31 road specs. We had a public hearing on this. Everybody's got the literature in front of them.
Do 6
I read the wrong one. I even put my glasses on. Let's go back to 6, code amendments, 109-21, conservative subdivision design, 129 to 146, submission and review procedures. Same thing, you got all your literature in front of you.
We also did receive a referral back from the county with a decision to approve on both items 6 and 7.
I have a very, very minor suggested revision on every one here.
That would be good.
So on page 6, just above the dead center of the page, section 6A, that is proposed to now start with site plan approval granted shall expire 18 months from the date of. Everybody can see that? 2 lines down, it says required conditions of Mylar submission have not been completed. I'm proposing to add the word paid and before completed, because right before it says fees and required conditions of Mylar submission have not been, the fees will be paid, not completed. So I'm proposing to add the words paid and after have not been before completed.
Was that all?
Somebody want to,
Yeah, with that,
somebody want to make a motion on those changes?
yeah, with council's recommended change, I'll make a motion to approve the code amendments as recommended by the Deputy Supervisor, Zoning Revision Committee, which has done a lot of work on this, and to be commended for the depth of investigation and knowledge that was put into the recommended changes.
Second it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Carried. Number 7, code amendments for schedules for R1, R2, H1, existing boundaries for R1 and H1 zones, 6.15 residential chickens, and 109-31 road specifications. You want to make a motion? Everything good on that, Mark?
No legal issue.
All right.
Not even with the chickens?
No legal issue.
Make a motion, we approve them as presented.
Is it second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Opposed?
Time frame of applications being submitted? The changes would be applicable to projects that have not yet submitted an application.
That's going to be part of your motion.
Yes, it is. I thought you said that. I was thinking it, but I don't think I actually said it. So my motion is to approve the changes, grandfathering those projects that have already submitted an application under the existing rules to the planning board.
As of today's date.
As of today's date and 7/28. You're close. Thank you. And I'll second that as
All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Consent to accept land name residential subdivision. You want to talk about that, Ryan?
We actually have a representative from the Lane.
All right, okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Oh, I saw it on the map. I'm ready now.
My name is Doug Wilton with Lansing Engineering. On behalf of Services Residential Subdivision and the applicant, Adirondack Property Ventures. I'm here today to request that the board consider dedication of the open space for the project, approximately 7.25 acres of land, in order to allow the 10% density bonus, which would allow us one extra lot for a total of 9 lots. The parcel is currently a 37-acre parcel, currently serves Human Services. 18 acres will be retained by the original owner, 19 acres will be proposed for a 9-lot subdivision that will be between this residential subdivision construction and the residential subdivision. So the proposed open space will preserve approximately 7.25 acres of land, which is essential to preservation adjacent to the Bog Meadow Brook, and it will allow for community recreation opportunities for the development of a trail system, which would essentially connect the Grand Island residential subdivision phase 1 and 2. This parcel subdivision, the 293 Bog Meadow subdivision, and the Ingersoll Lake. Request that the board consider acceptance of the open space that allows 10%
This is for intent, right? Not finalized.
Yeah, as Aaron just stated, this is one of the missing pieces as the board has been accepting some of these open space lands with the residential subdivisions. As you can see with the map they handed out, there's a significant trail connection that's from Edy Road all the way to Loudon Road. And this is something that usually takes quite some time to develop. It's actually happening rapidly. As you can see, the green areas in the map are the open space areas that where the residents can use and enjoy the trail. And I have walked this property where this trail is to be placed, and it's a nice area for the trail. I would just suggest that we may modify the open space a little bit to rear some of those properties, just to make sure there's a separation from the trail and the property owners and stuff. So it may change a little bit, but the intent overall is to accept the land that we're going.
What's it planning board design?
Yes.
Now, can this link up with the proposed project on 50 with the Christmas tree shop and all that? Does that cross over into there?
It will come out onto Ingersoll Road with this trail connection, and there is another subdivision on the other side which would then connect to the senior housing project, which would be on Route 50, which is proposed to provide a multi-use trail from there all the way to Wilton Mall.
Correct.
So yes, you could travel from Wilton Mall to Edy Road, essentially off-road.
Thank you.
It's pretty cool. You know, in addition to Lansing Engineering, the other firms that have worked on these projects, and in particular Ryan and his staff and the planning board in reviewing these projects and making this happen, and typically we these things take decades. And the fact that they're being put together, with such speed and urgency is, Ryan, you and your department, and everybody else involved in the project is to be commended. It's very, very well done. So with that, I'll make a motion that it is our intent to accept the open space upon final approval of the project.
Second.
All in favor?
So we'll clear it.
Aye. All opposed? Carried.
Thanks for all your work, too.
7 Sorrow Lane. You want to talk about that, Mark? You all got pictures.
So I did make sure the board had some pictures of what we've been looking at. I've been dealing with this property
For years.
2012. To get her to go forward a little bit and then she went back. And this is probably the worst it's looked in that. It's at a point now where I don't think it's even manageable for her to try and do this by herself. Clean up the property. The interior of the house is so full of stuff that you can't walk in the doors. It's faulty on the windows. The roof is caving in. There's no way of fixing it. You can't get out now.
Sad.
What steps are we supposed to take at this stage?
So this stage, we're just setting a public hearing moving forward.
Was there a complaint that brought you there?
There's been multiple.
So the neighbors?
What's that?
Neighbors, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Okay. That's all.
Neighbors, fire department.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to set a public hearing.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
That will
Opposed?
be May 2nd,
Carried.
7 p.m.
When is it?
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Wilton Mall. This week.
You using this? Just pull.
Margot shut it off.
No, yeah.
Sabotage.
The yellow light. Sorry. It won't take long. Yeah. I can, probably only want to get through the duck. I'm just kidding. Does it hurt?
I haven't had one of those.
Can you see that in the back?
Good evening. My name is Tom Shepherdson. I'm the attorney for the applicant, Wilton Mall. With me here are several members of the Macers team and the Paramount team. Just wanted to go over some quick history of the project with the board. Beginning in November of 2022, the Town Planning Board issued a recommendation that this project be approved. In September of 2023, the County Planning Board made a similar recommendation that this project be approved. In October of 2023, this board conducted a public hearing. The hearing was well attended, and by our count, there was a vast majority of people that spoke in favor of the project. And that's on top of the 60 or so letters in support that went to the board, as well as numerous emails. After that, about 2 weeks after that public hearing, the Town Planning Board, a secret lead agency, adopted a resolution determining that the project would have no environmental impacts, no potential significant adverse environmental impacts at all.
And that's the sum and substance of the history lesson. Here we've got the current site plan, and really nothing much has changed on it for the last couple years. It's still a 101-acre site. The blue area is the area where the project is proposed to be constructed, in the back side of the mall. The only new thing that you'll see on this plan is the red line, which is a sidewalk pedestrian amenity that we're proposing to incorporate into the project. And as Mr. Bogardus had indicated, the trail system is going to come from the senior housing, and it's going to end right here at the mall. We're going to extend that into the mall, to the mall and to the project area to make it an even lengthier trail. The project is still consistent with the comprehensive plan, calling for mixed-use development, sensible growth in this particular area of the town. It's consistent with the zoning law, the PUD regulations, and the subdivision regulations as well. So the bottom line is, we've got a project that's been recommended to be approved by other agencies. The project has no adverse impacts on the environment. It's a good project, and we would hope that the board would see fit to consider approving the project at its meeting tonight. Thank you. So next up, we have Tony Farmer from ACER.
We had shown this slide to you before, we kind of combined it, and we want to just reiterate the economic impact and fiscal benefit analysis that was prepared by Kamon Associates, a local firm, showing all the upsides to the town and the area from this construction, and the annual benefits. So for construction, we have 318 jobs, 14.5 million in associated earnings, 37.5 million in sales spent locally, and then annually after that, once the apartments and townhomes are built, will generate 125 permanent jobs, 5.6 million in associated earnings, and 16.6 in annual sales. None of this the town is estimated to also receive new sales tax revenue of $368,000 annually. We are making no requests to the town. The infrastructure is in place. There is no burden put on the town by this project in any way, shape, or form, and that is everywhere else. The Saratoga Springs City School District will also experience a net benefit of $809,000, and that's after accounting for the estimated 25 students that the project may produce. District-wide enrollment has fallen by 11% from 720 students in the last decade, so that 25 is not going to burden the school district at all. And then one other point that's not included on that slide, because it wasn't part of the Kamon study, is as part of the town's community park and recreation fee requirement. This project would add an additional $286,500 to the park department, $750 per unit, and this next slide is a summary of our public engagement platform that we've been using throughout this process. It's reimaginewhatwemall.com, and it was our way of reaching out to the public and finding out how they really feel about this proposal. And we also posted every single application that we've made to the county, the planning board, the town board, on that. And coming out of that, in addition to the numbers you see here, we had 8,765 total unique visitors to the site. And the positive and the neutral added together equals 92%. The neutrals were people were just answering questions and not necessarily anything positive or negative, but by their answers you would say that they support the project. The main consensus that came out of this was the public supports, or this project would support the mall's vitality. It's going to attract new tenants. We need new retail and entertainment attractions at the mall. It's a perfect location, one of the most appropriate for apartments in the town of Wilton. And as you can see on the previous slide, we are going to foster walkability of the property by adding all the additional trails from Route 50 to the property, to the proposed housing, and connecting to the town. We have
John Donovan with DHB. We did the traffic evaluation for this site. We're looking at 169 vehicle trips during the AM peak, 174 new trips during the PM peak, and 154 new trips during the Saturday peak. This level of increase of traffic will be adequately serviced by the existing roadway network. We didn't suggest any mitigation at the signals at the entrances to the site. And additionally, our analysis showed that we didn't increase our level of service at those intersections with this added traffic. That's about it.
Mike Schaefer, General Manager, Wilton Mall. This slide indicates the department store decline accelerated by the pandemic, but was ultimately inevitable with the bankruptcy and closure of Bonton and the bankruptcy and closure of Sears. The rate of national tenant loss is also accelerating due to online shopping, but was accelerated with the pandemic. And while we've been very good at attracting local tenants, the mall can't remain viable on local tenants alone. We need a healthy mix of both local and national tenants. I think you all know that the status quo has also produced a 10-year property value decline, but we now have an opportunity to change the trajectory and build value for both the mall and the town. New and updated zoning, which allows limited residential, places the mall in a much better position to attract national retailers, restaurants, and new uses such as entertainment. Tenant interest equals investment, and the mall needs the residential catalyst to attract that interest. So the goal now is mixed-use centers where people can live, work, shop, and be entertained. The evolution is industry-wide, but started at the Wilton Mall with grocery when we brought in Healthy Living Market and fitness really brought in in May of 2012 and March of 2013. Fast forward a little bit, we brought in Home Goods in 2014, 2015, and that boxed up 6 small shop retailers to make room for the 22,000 square foot Home Goods, which is a non-traditional mall retail. And continuing to present, we transitioned Sears box to Saratoga Hospital for primary care, clinical care, and administrative uses. The evolution continued most recently with the recent openings of Orange City Fitness and the reopening of the movie theater under Scene 1 Cinemas. Existing zoning doesn't consider the scale and unique nature of a mall, nor did it ever envision the mixed uses that are now essential for variety and prosperity. The mall was built in 1989 and 90, and that was on nobody's radar to have mixed use with a With many locations to choose from, all retail prospects to date have passed on the former Bonton due to lack of visibility. This has been our most challenging location at the property. Thankfully, the negatives for retail are positive for residential. So as you can see, we have invested in the property as opportunities were identified, and we'd like to continue to do so. Redevelopment of the long vacant Bonton with residential is the next game-changing step in our evolution, and we believe the key to fortifying retail for the mall. So public benefit and mall improvements. The list on the screen is a result of several productive discussions we've had over the past 4 months with town leadership. They have shared that reinvestment in the mall and the town's amenities is their priority. Larry Gordon Outdoor Educational Center, which we just heard a lot about. We have a $300,000 public benefit donation to the town of Wilton for that project. And I think hearing the numbers earlier, that brings it close to the total dollars needed. We also heard that pedestrian amenities such as walkable paths from Route 50 out to the residential, over to the mall, and back to the town forest is within requested, and we've provided that. We also right now do connect via pedestrian from the Saratoga Hospital area over to the parking lot. That's been existing for a while. We did take care of the mall building. We power washed it back in 2012. It's deep there again. It's split pocket facade. And we would redo the northeast mall building entrance and northwest mall building entrances, or the two main entrances on Route 50. A couple of customer experience enhancements, bicycle racks incorporated in the east side of the mall entrance, re-landscaping of the islands at the mall road entry points and inside the outer ring road, refurbishment of the interior mall entryways, including the painting, doors, walls, restroom, and waiting technicals. Right now we're in the process of under contract of redoing all the interior plans and updating the pictures, and we also have parking lot improvements. As I said, the Larry Gordon Outdoor Education Center at the Town of Wilton, Saratoga on Town Road. We are proposing a public benefit donation of $300,000, and that's, when we pulled it up, we already had 364 inch. I think that's a little higher. So again, here is the proposed pedestrian pathway from Route 50 back around the residential proposed development with two access points into the mall and into the county forest. Talk about Route 50 entry improvements. You can see the before in the top right. You can see the proposed in the middle where we remove the sunburst that's there. We take away a lot of the green vegetation. We have landscaping beds and everything in town and put up. That is the entrance between Woodbridge and Planet Fitness. And finally, the entrance where you go in this coordinated and also do very similar improvements. With that said, we appreciate the engagement and productive dialogue that we've had with the town leadership over the past 4 months. We believe their feedback has improved our proposal, and we now have a project that benefits both the mall and the residents of the town of Wilton. We respectfully ask for the board's approval of our PUD application so that we may continue with our evolution and restore the mall to the economic engine that it once was. And the project team here is prepared to answer any questions.
Thank you.
I have a question, and it's probably... What's that?
I've got a lot of them.
Okay. And it's probably more for council, for the town and the mall. At the bottom of the first page with the mixed-use PUDD language, section 8.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I have several proposed revisions to that very clearly.
Oh, thank you, sir. Would you like to go first?
No, I'd like you to.
Okay.
That's okay. I just wanted to...
Yeah, I just have it, it's the last sentence that carries on to the next page.
Yeah.
Where it says, the town board finds that the benefit of the projects contemplated by this PUDD outweigh the utility of strict application of the subdivision regulations and site plan criteria, and as such, the planning board is authorized and directed by the enactment of this Wilton Mall mixed-use PUDD to waive strict application of the zoning code. One, I think that's talking a little bit too much for the town board, but I also don't want to tie the planning board's hands too much, especially when we move a little bit forward into Appendix B, where the minimum unit size for the townhomes would be 800 square feet. I certainly don't want to speak for there's a reason why our boards are separate, and I don't want the town to tie the planning board's hands for what they deem appropriate.
So can I comment on that?
Please do.
My proposed revision, I understand, first off, let me back off and say, I did not know until today that there was a possibility of enactment this evening, so I was only able to focus on this today, or I would have provided the board and perhaps the applicant with some additional feedback prior to right this moment. My proposed revisions would be a little sticky to run through if we get that far tonight, because that's up to the town board. But on that particular point, my understanding, and I could be wrong, and anybody correct me on the town board, correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding is that the principal goal of that provision as written is to not be subject, for the project to not be subject to the density requirements of our zoning law, and as the planning board might adjust those density requirements. If that understanding is correct, I had several proposed tweaks to that paragraph, but one of them was to add language in that very sentence after the word strict application of the, I was proposing to add density requirements of the before subdivision regulations and site plan review. I think that would accommodate your concern if I'm on the right target.
Yeah.
And then I was supposed to add those very same words as to density requirements later on in the parenthetical that spills onto the next page with the space that's confusing between Chapter 129 and Article 9 Site Plan Review and Article 24. See where I'm at?
No.
On the next page, at the top, starts with subdivision regulations, am I right?
Yes. Yeah.
And then after the third line, there's a space that's unintentional. The space between Chapter 129 and Article 9 is just a typo space. It's not intended to be a space, that's all one phrase. So I was proposing to add, after it says chapter, see where it says Chapter 129 at the end of the third line? And then you carry into the next line, Article 9, Site Plan Review, and Article 24, additional regulations. And I was proposing to add before the phrase "to the degree," the phrase "as to density requirements and." And again, I think that would accommodate your concern. Now, I've not run these comments by our planning engineering director or anybody else, because I just made.
This may also relate to the fact that several parcels within the mall footprint are privately owned, with the DJ's building, the JCPenney's building. So, but they do not meet the frontage requirements, setback requirements, because there's an individual tax ID within the mall.
Even now, they don't.
Correct.
Okay. So I don't think that would have any impact on the proposed legislation.
No changes to that, but I don't think that's part of it.
Any questions for now? Yeah. It just kind of stuck out a little more to me that I didn't want to tie the hands of
well, I think that would
planning board in their review.
If my assumption is right, that would accomplish your goal and it would accomplish the applicant's goal of not being tied to the density requirements, which apparently will not be met. I'm not saying they should be met. It's part of the project to not meet those density requirements. Those are two of my 4 proposed tweaks, and the other 2 are just very much more minor. They're just word choices.
So I have a few things. I've been on this project since the beginning. If you could bring that slide back to the public benefit. Because 2 years ago, this is for the people that live in the town of Wilton. When this project first came on my desk, there was 0 public benefit. When we had meeting after meeting, what's going to be done to the mall? Nothing. We don't put lipstick on a pig. Nothing. So there was no benefit to the town of Wilton at all. So I commend you for finally coming to your senses and giving something back to what. That's all I've ever asked. I've never had a problem with the project. I've said that to everybody at that meeting. Never had a problem with traffic, even though it keeps getting brought up. Never had a problem with the schools. Never had a problem with any of it. It's the perfect project, but something had to be in it for Wilton. There was never anything in it for Wilton. And now I'm glad to see that there's finally something in it for the town of Wilton. So that's what I've wanted to see for the last 2 years. This thing could have gone fast-tracked a long time ago had we just had something in it for our town. Not the neighboring towns and the county and the state, all the other. There had to be something in it for us. And I'm glad to see that it's finally there. That's all I have.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Autographing afterwards?
No. But I do appreciate it. It ain't exactly what I wanted, but you know what?
Just,
Not done yet.
You know, I'm not, Michael, I'm not saying I'm against this project, I just ain't ready to vote on it tonight, because
Yeah, we definitely need,
a few more things.
with all the things that has been brought up, there's, I mean, just what I heard tonight, there's no way I could make I'm for it, I can tell you that, but not for it. If you waited 2.5 years, I'm sure you guys can wait 30 more days. I just don't see...
Are we waiting on council's review of the questions?
I'd like to hear everything, and then there was, I want to make sure that, one of the other stipulations I made was I want to see this project actually be built, and not just blown smoke up everybody's, that we get it approved, and then all of a sudden, it doesn't happen.
So there's a timeline for that, John.
Well, that was one of my stipulations in some of the meetings that, unfortunately, I wasn't invited to attend in the last 2 months. I might know why now. But I want to be sure that this project's actually going to get built. And if it doesn't get built, that's why we put the sunshine clause in our new zoning, because I'll put it right back to the original zoning if it doesn't get built the way it was proposed. This is the proposal that you've put out to our town. I want to see exactly what you put out there built.
So 3-4 months would be for design and preparation of the subdivision?
I had a couple years in mind. I want something built in the next, 2 years.
4 to 5 months for site subdivision approval, 2 to 3 months for building permit. It's a 9 to 12 month process. Construction would start in spring of 2025, weather permitting. The plan would be to keep moving forward with that and have the first part of ground lines event in the summer of 2026.
And my proposal would be that if that doesn't get done, then we go back to the original zoning.
Well, that would be a vote with the town board.
Right, that would be what I propose.
There's no intent to not do this.
Okay.
He's giving you every reason why it benefits.
I want to cover every base.
I think our persistence over the last 2.5, 3 years shows that we want to do this, and we will do this, because we have the ability to.
And I just wanted something for this town, that's all. I was put on this board to slow down the growth. And then I'm making a decision to put apartments in an area that didn't allow apartments, which is, there has to be something in it for that decision, to this town for that decision. That was all I only asked that years ago, I guess. And I'm glad to see it's finally coming to a head.
Does our council feel like he needs more time to review it? Okay.
I had 4 proposed revisions, all to the very same paragraph that Aaron asked about. The 2 longest ones I already discussed, I already stated them. The other 2, one of them is deletion of one word that I think is confusing or redundant, and one of them is adding a phrase, is replacing the phrase that exists right now with a different phrase that I think is more precise. That's it for me.
Then I make a motion that we move forward, and let's not wait.
Move forward.
I'll second your motion.
I'll third.
All right,
based on the,
if you're
based on the handful of recommendations that council has made for revisions.
I've only made 2 of my 4.
I'll throw the other 2 in, go ahead.
So I'm not comfortable, I would not suggest you make a motion to move forward. That's not a motion that in my legal mind I understand.
Okay.
If you want to vote on a motion to move forward, that's fine, but it won't be binding or enforcing.
Why don't we take one step at a time? Let's make sure we cover your recommended revisions.
Okay.
And then we'll take action.
So I already stated what my first 2 recommendations were, which were installing adding the same phrase in 2 different places. And my other 2 are, excuse me, in the second line, these are all in the same paragraph, section 8. My next one is the second line of that section currently starts with the words, developer shall follow procedures. I'm proposing to replace, I usually streamline things, but I'm actually proposing to replace those 4 words with 6 words. And the words I'm proposing are, "and subject to the provisions of." Nope, I was already there. Make it 5.
Where is this?
So I'm proposing to delete, everybody with me?
Are you in section 11?
I'm in
On page
section
2?
Nope, I'm in section 8.
Oh, the beginning.
Paragraph you directed on.
All right, thank you.
That also says on 11.
Could you repeat that, please, Mark?
Yep. I'm in section 8.
Yep.
On page 1, in the second line, the first 4 words of that line are developer shall follow procedures. I'm proposing to delete those 4 words and also the period that comes right before them in the line before it, and replace them with "and subject to the provisions." 5. I lost it. It's 1 word long.
Okay. Thank you.
Applicant's representatives seem to be nodding affirmatively for that as well.
I know there was one more.
Correct. And my other one is 2 lines later, dead center, the line that starts with Code of the Town of Wilton, semicolon, usage shall be limited except to those approved. I personally and professionally find the word "except" to be confusing and redundant there, and I'm proposing that it be removed.
Just take the word "except" out.
Correct. In which case, the phrase would now read, "shall be limited to those approved by the town board." So my net changes are 0.
Very good. Well played, Council.
And am I to be clear that you don't believe we should vote on this tonight?
You are not to be clear, I never said that.
Oh.
No, without enumerating his changes.
I think Councilman O'Connor specifically asked me if I felt the need for further review, and I said no.
Then I make a motion.
Now, for people's information, anything that was brought to the county planning, they never go against towns or cities, because they don't want to butt heads with them. And I might be old, but we had a talk last week. I thought that amount was a lot different. And the lawyer's remark about the last vote, 73 2/3, I wrote the numbers down, it was 18 to 16. Now, last time I've been to school, that ain't 2/3. And I don't like being misled. I think there's been a lot of misleading myself.
All right, I need to make one thing clear. If we do a vote tonight in council, if you could correct me if I'm incorrect on my statement. I have to advise that I am a deputy fire chief for the local area that covers the Wilton Mall. The department that I'm a chief at has partnered in the past with training opportunities at the mall. I have sought counsel for advice to see if this presents a conflict of interest or any appearances of impropriety in my vote for or against this mall project. Council has advised me that this is not a conflict of my interest or an appearance of impropriety. My vote will not be affected by that. Is that correct, sir?
Largely, remember that no such issue is ever subject to me as council's decision. But I do believe that there's no specter of any prohibited conflict of interest, and I'm not uncomfortable if somebody were to assail or attack you as producing an appearance of impropriety. I would be 100% comfortable defending you on the basis of I don't think so. No, you did not mention this, I don't believe, but you might want to mention, if I understand the underlying facts correctly, there's no compensation or money changing hands aspect of that whatsoever.
No, the mall has allowed us to use vacant space to do large-scale searches and stuff like that. There's no monetary exchange, and actually, I'm not directly involved in the planning.
They might let you take the Bonton down.
My training committee makes all coordinations with the mall. I am not involved in
And there's
that.
no monetary either direction.
No, sir.
That's my understanding.
Thank you.
I'm ready to move forward tonight. I don't...
You want to make a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm opposed.
Does the motion include my proposed?
With the revisions, I'm sorry. With your revisions. Thank you. Okay.
Wilton Road Solar contract amendment. You want to speak about that, Maria?
What? What? Yes, please.
Do you want mine? I marked them down.
You guys can stay for the rest of the meeting.
Mark, I can give Sue mine if you want to hang on to yours.
That's all right.
You sure? Okay.
Look at them as they come by, make sure they're the same.
Okay.
See if they match mine also.
Come in here and steal all that thunder. Bullshit. They did that 2 years ago. We wouldn't need to do this. What's in it for us?
No, no.
Because everybody out there that just left, none of them live in Wilton. One.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Wilton Road Solar Contract Amendment. You want to speak about that, Maria? Don't know what's going on.
So the original agreement that was between Wilton Road Solar and the town of Wilton called for a 10-day period whereby 10 days after that agreement was signed, the town of Wilton would receive an escrow deposit of $202,500. That did not happen. That agreement, I believe, was executed in October of 2023. With some follow-up, just me wondering where the money was, where we were at. I didn't really get a great answer from the developer, but now the developer is more ready to pursue this, so our council has thankfully created an amended version of that.
Do we have a copy of that?
No.
I don't have.
I did not get a
An
copy.
item 11.
I don't have an 11.
It was, yeah, it wasn't a, she's just changing it, yeah.
Changes, right,
Oh, okay.
right. So it just allows for...
Okay.
You all understand?
No.
Need a motion?
Run that by me one more time.
Yeah.
Try and get it.
So the original agreement called for 10 days from the date that the original agreement was executed fully. 10 days from there, the town should have received an escrow deposit for $202,500. Now, it didn't happen.
Which is all about the decommission. It's financial security for the decommission.
Right, yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
So an amendment was created for that agreement to state that we can still proceed without the 10-day restriction. So when the Wilton Road Solar is ready to provide us with the money, that's when we'll accept it.
But they can't start
Until they get...
any kind of site plan or anything like that? Okay.
Oh, I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. We talked about that piece of property across from Smith Ridge Road last month. I think we owned it. Maybe we could do something to stop another business going there because that traffic is a cluster there. What we like to do is get it appraised and maybe make them an offer.
Would it be based off the appraisal, I'm assuming?
I know.
Because I think what he's asking is like,
600.
yeah, he's asking.
He's asking 600.
I mean, I don't mind getting it appraised, but I certainly, it isn't worth, for me, it's not worth.
I don't support that land purchase.
But, you know, it's something that, I mean, this is a broader...
Well, we're going to hear it if we do something or don't do something.
Yeah, I mean, if we could tie that somehow to Daniels Road, I mean, I think it would be perfect to alleviate the school pressure and the,
I was thinking maybe we could build a roundabout there or something, keep the traffic moving, because those...
then you're gonna take half my lot.
Yeah, that'll be up to, that'd be up to...
Daniels Road and
That's
Smithbridge
Route 9.
Road are
That's not us to do.
shortcuts, and you're not even gonna be able to get out of
It
Smithbridge
certainly
Road.
is, it's an awful, the traffic is definitely awful in that corridor, there's no question about it. I mean, I just wish there was a way to connect it to get rid of the light at Daniels.
Well, you know, there's two things that cross my mind, and not just about that parcel, but even parcels, you know, farther up the road that are subject to development, is in the zoning revisions that we made, it reduces, as far as the residential side of the hamlet zones.
There's no hamlet there.
No, but I mean farther
right,
north
yeah.
that could create traffic, that would reduce the number of potential units that I think might help. But the other thing that I've got concern about, and it's not specific to that land purchase, but you know, our board has talked about a lot of different capital projects. Mike Monroe and I had a phone conversation the other day, because I'm liaison on the highway department, about, you know, a capital project for the highway department for wash bays for the trucks. We've got this property on Route 9, we've got the town hall expansion, we've got, gosh, what else we got out there that we're talking about?
There's a lot.
Oh, the project with the veterans facility here, expanding recreational projects, and in aggregate, these projects are millions and millions of dollars. And we don't have a town-wide capital plan. You know, it reminds me of what Mike was saying about, you know, future burden, you know, on fire services. You know, what are we going to do about that? And I wonder if it makes sense. I happen to be working on it with another organization.
We're going to set up a committee for capital plans.
Yeah,
right?
so a multi-year capital project plan, so that we're expanding out, you know, one of the things we don't want to do is have like $10 million worth of projects in 1 year, because that's just going to blow our entire, you know, surplus.
Right.
And put a burden on the residents in the form.
Maria talked about that last week. We've got to set up a committee.
We could have made them all pay for it, but I don't think.
Gave in.
I know.
Gave in.
I mean, I'm not
Let's
against
move on
having
from
it.
that.
Yeah.
But when we table that...
Mandate ethics training, you got to set up a date.
I have my paper. I did it with her.
Does everybody have to do that on an annual basis?
Yeah.
The ethics
I
training?
have my,
The other?
every other one sitting on the counter.
So we have May 15th and May 23rd are the ZBA and planning board meetings.
15th's better for me.
15th, okay.
You say May 15th?
May 15th,
At what time?
5:30.
I won't be here.
I think you took it last year. I have to
I
call.
took it last year. You don't, how often do you have to do it?
Every 2 years.
I went last year.
We can do it
I
by
was here
Zoom,
last
but
year.
I'll be in Disney.
I did it last year, I was late.
Disney World.
Visiting your relatives.
Okay. May 15th at 5:30.
May 15th.
Sir.
Committee reports.
Got one from Gavin Park. A couple of them I'd like to read off. So I, along with the Town of Wilton Community Day organizers, have planned a full array of entertainment, attractions, and activities for the Town of Wilton residents and their families, scheduled on Saturday, June 22nd, 2024, from 11 in the morning to 5 p.m. at our beautiful Gavin Park. Admission is free. When parking your car, you will be given a short survey to complete and turn in to receive a free gift. The day includes entertainment by Skippy and the Pistons and other fun activities that include several bounce houses, photo booth, free balloon sculptures, face painting, magician, George Satirial, juggler and comedian, Bryson Lang, and beer and wine tasting. There will be several contests, including cookie decorating, ice cream eating, soccer shootout, sidewalk chalk, cornhole, and pickleball tournaments. Brooks Barbecue will be there doing what they do best. You must pre-order and present your ticket. The chicken barbecue dinners will be $21 each and cooked on site. Dinners will include their famous barbecue chicken, baked potato with sour cream, coleslaw, rolls, and a beverage, and chocolate chip cookie. Tickets will be sold at Wilton Recreation at Gavin Park and Town Hall, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., starting Monday, April 15th, 2024. There will be a limited number of dinners sold, so don't wait. Bring your appetite, because the food will be served all day, including sausage and peppers presented by the Wilton Saratoga Elks, creative catering, burgers, dogs, funnel cakes, quinoa, ice, kettle corn, and more. Wilton is proud to host this event. It's a great way to bring everyone in our community together for a fun-filled day. So that was on Community Day.
All that'll be on our website and Facebook, too.
Saturday, June 22nd.
Good job. I had to go back and look.
I have good ears, I do. Actually, I was checking the calendar and put it on.
And this is something from Ross, our new rec leader. Our new rec leader from Gavin Park wanted to mention a few things. He just wanted to mention some of the recent highlights and programs done at the park, and he'd like to share at the board meeting. Summer camp registration went smooth, filling up in less than a half hour after opening. We have close to 300 kids in the program.
It's amazing.
We successfully organized the first annual Easter event, which included an egg hunt, make your own tote bag refreshments, and of course the Easter bunny. We had close to 300 people participate, decorated around 100 bags, and went through 2,000 filled Easter eggs. Start up a night pickleball program averaging about 15 participants per session, Wednesdays and Thursdays, 6:30 to 8:30. And he started a new program for toddlers called Amazing Athletes. It runs every Monday afternoon, 12:45 to 2:10. Currently have 8 participants in that program. And that was from Ross, from Gavin Park. Thank you.
I have a couple of things. Last month they talked about we redid the court. Recently they just had I'm not sure if it was BCJS or who did a safety evaluation on the court building, and they had recommendations that we need to mitigate. Some of them is the windows that our personnel meet the public at. They feel they need to be more secure and resistant to any projectiles, so we're going to need to replace the windows, reconfigure a wall. The court does need new chairs and different things. I've been working with Scott and court people, and Scott has kind of figured approximately $21,000 to retrofit everything that's recommended in the safety evaluation that was done. So I'm looking for permission to get the $21,000 approved to be able to retrofit some of the safety concerns in the court building and buy new chairs.
New York State court system gonna come up with any money?
I don't know.
Anybody call them and see if they've got any funding out there?
I think we can fund it if they don't. Or we have to.
We would look into that. I'm not sure if there is anything for that. Yeah, I can probably
Oh, so
Chair, so we have to get funds to cover these. If we can print all the working anyway, we can still proceed with the inventory. We can do this in the park.
Okay, so we can kind of move, I will coordinate with you on that. Secondly, with the development of all the developments, I guess you want to call it, within the town, our emergency services are being a little bit taxed. I've spoke with a lot of Wilton ambulance, Wilton Greenfield Fire District that covers the areas too. And I'd like to get a group of us, I'm not sure if you want to call it a formal committee, to sit down and discuss and try to be more proactive about future stuff that may be coming down the line and how we can actually accommodate some of the stuff. I know budgets are falling short from all the requirements, just equipment requirements that are needed for the expansions and stuff. So I'd like to get a commission to form a group to sit down and kind of be proactive as far as what our future looks like. The emergency services future.
Taking inventory and seeing
Kind of an
how to
inventory.
expand or
See,
fill in the gaps.
obviously we have
Well, both of these fire departments have their own governing body. They got pretty big budgets, and all they do is seem to spend, maybe get rid of some equipment, they could hire some
Well, I have to beg.
full-time people.
I have to beg to differ with you. If you were to pay firemen here, you're going to increase your town tax, you're going to increase fire tax. Okay? I mean,
Well, people, we just said you want protection. I don't think when it comes to public safety, people complain too much. But I think a lot of money spent. I think they're
I can honestly tell you that
$1.8 million.
is not anywhere near where it needs to be.
For 4 companies.
Well, even just for the district.
We know the problem there.
We saw an evolution.
Right, I tell you what, I withdraw that. No. Whatever happens to emergency service in this town will fall on other hands.
We saw an evolution over the years. I'll just take the Wilton Emergency Squad. I'll just take the Wilton Emergency Squad as an example. Way back in the day, 100% volunteer, nobody got compensated. I think when the Wilton Emergency Squad was formed, there was no tax district. But as time has gone on, it gets tougher and tougher to find volunteers, to get people to commit their time to this sort of thing. And so, for the Wilton Emergency Squad, tax district was created, compensated, EMTs and paramedics at this point. I don't know if, through what structure, it could be through the existing fire departments and their taxing districts, but, that's, not ever having been a firefighter managing a fire company or anything else. I put it in the hands of professionals to figure out what exactly do we need. So Dwayne, I like your idea of having, some sort of committee, especially with a lot of expertise on it, from emergency services, to figure out, what we got to do in the next 5, 10, 20 years to make sure that we have a safe community to live in.
And I think that was brought up during our public comment as well, too, so.
When a couple of things are getting my way, I ain't whining about it, I don't want to work with it, okay? I ain't here to fight with anybody. But I got my own opinion about things, too.
I certainly don't have a problem with the committee, and I don't see where a committee could hurt, but there's, with all the development, it's got to come with some kind of burden on them. I've been in I don't know what happened to the apparatus at Maple Avenue, because it's all broke. Yeah, I went through there last weekend, and it's like, I don't know how they even managed to, without mutual aid, it's probably impossible, I would assume.
Everybody needs that today.
Truck with the frames rusted out. Get a new
Right, I mean, I think I only seen like 2 small trucks in there.
$2.2 million from the letter.
Right, that's what I mean, so it's up to the chief.
You talk about, having a fund that pays fire department. I think it's a simple solution. Every single home from a builder that's put in development, a surcharge.
You got Peter's attention.
$1,000 surcharge per home, so you're not selling it now. A $25,000 per home, you got 10, 15.
Well, that now makes it unaffordable to live here, which we don't
Well,
want.
now, so there's some of the development now, number one, but it'll help. You can't wait 1,500 units come across cities like town and not have a way to protect them.
Obviously, this is a very, very complex issue.
We're going to put a committee together for sure.
Probably shouldn't debate,
I think that's definitely needed. It might not be that, but there's got to be ways to help the residents get through that.
We can put a committee together for that mall, we can put one together for this.
There you go.
We're not, at least my department's not suffering from.
Put a committee together, Dwight.
It's
Right.
revenue.
It's revenue, exactly.
We're at,
But we're splitting that revenue 4 ways. So, and I don't know, I haven't been in for a couple of years, but I'm pretty sure Maple Avenue still
Pays like
does.
48% of that budget.
Maple Avenue still
Right.
does probably 75% of the calls.
Maple Avenue
and gets
pays like
25% of the budget.
48% of that Greenfield fire budget.
So there is an issue in hand, or in-house issue as well. And that committee can handle that. Maybe you can bend the ears of some of the commissioners that are making these decisions.
my plan was to have some new commissioners on it.
Great. I support a committee. I think
And again, it
supervisors
was
support
to look at the future.
Yeah.
Take care of it, Dwayne.
We're trying to play catch-up as it is, and I just don't want to get 5 years, 10 years.
And I
from now.
forgot to mention on my last report about going around to the local businesses for support for this community day, and some of the builders for some support for this community day. So now that I got that out,
Flyers
you can
and
get to the next one. That's how you do it,
Anybody got
Mike.
anything else?
Yes, I do.
Wait. Oh, do you?
Yes,
Oh,
do you? Go
I do.
ahead.
Two brief things. A few months ago, Supervisor Lands and I and Ryan and Michelle Straight from the Veterans and Community Housing Coalition met here in Town Hall to talk about a possible expansion of veteran housing on Northern Pines Road. And just earlier this week, Assemblywoman Carrie Warner reached out to us to give us an update on her contacts with the Office of General Services to see if we could acquire surplus land that's adjacent to the existing veteran housing so that they could so that the Veterans Community Housing Coalition could ultimately double the number of units that they have here. So Ryan, I don't know if you want to give any further detail. I know you put together the
mapping. Yeah, so it's the mapping, and just more of the existing one.
Yeah.
There's a little ravine between, but, it's large.
Yeah, a dozen acres.
Yeah.
And the only other thing I have is, you may have heard, there's supposed to be an eclipse on Monday. So I just want everybody to know that our town...
Don't look at it.
Our town...
It's like Weldon helmet.
Our
It's not a
town...
3D.
I'll be in Syracuse for that.
Our town is prepared.
We're ready.
Just so you know.
Yeah.
Okay. Didn't they have a song about that?
Can't see anything. I might drive with these on.
That's all I got.
Hey, thank you. I'm not going to go blind now.
Thanks, Ray.
I plan on looking at it.
I have a couple of items. The town of Wilton is hosting a tire recycling program through Saratoga County Soil and Water Conservation District. It will be, the drop-off location will be at the Highway Department. We do have flyers and applications on the right-hand side of the plot. They are also on our website. It's $5 per tire. No Bobcat agricultural loader or larger ones, larger tires.
Did it give a size?
Our highway superintendent got this going, organized it with the county.
Must be less
Thank you,
than
Mike.
20 inches.
Okay.
Yep. And a maximum of 10 tires per vehicle.
Who in the heck's going to fit 10 tires in a vehicle? I can't.
Also, the Blue Star mothers, mothers of active duty personnel, they are having a donation drive for Yellow Ribbon Day, and they're looking for personal care items and food items. We do have a box underneath the clock, so if anyone is interested, and the list is there. It's also on our website.
You know, we had a good snowstorm last night. We had a worse one last week. I'd just like to thank Mike and his crew for an excellent job.
Good job, Mike. Sorry for the Smithbridge Road. I wasn't in town, I was in Tennessee.
Maria, you want to do your controller's report?
No, my guys put a giant snowbank in.
24 budget transfers, and I believe that the first item is going to be a moot point at this time because we decided to table the purchase of the land, so I am not going to include that in my request. The second item is using contingent account, which is a set aside of money that we incorporate in the budget every year to accomplish paying for things that were not known at the time that the budget was crafted that might come up throughout the year. With the Community Days, Community Day and the band concert dates that we have coming up this summer, we are planning on purchasing a performance stage so that the band concerts will be outside of the pavilion, which, last year during our inaugural, band concert series, we noticed that the sound was just too loud. It was amplified because it was within the enclosed pavilion, so being outside on the stage would be better. Plus, we would use it, like I said, for the community day, so I am suggesting that we split the cost, which is estimated to be $9,000 based on one quote that we've received so far between the two different departments. The third item on the list is the contractual expenditures for the park are being used to offset equipment that we've already actually purchased, but the work hasn't been done yet because of the weather. There's going to be a conduit dug underground for the security camera electricity. So we have the security camera project that we are anticipating will be installed before the start of the summer camp, so this work has to be completed pretty soon. The last item in our budget transfers is that lubricating system for the new loader has been installed. I believe it's already happened. We used money in our 200 account code, which is the capital outlays, which is where it belongs, because this particular project will extend the useful life of the loader because it will automatically lubricate parts of the... I don't pretend to know anything about that, but I propose that the money comes from what we've already budgeted in the contractual expenditures for repairs. So we're funding that outlay using that mechanism.
So they don't have to go around and...
So you like plug it, so you plug it in and it just kind of maintains the...
It's already built into the motor, it increases the revenue.
No kidding. Oh, wow.
Maria, can you pull number 2 off? I'm trying to work something.
Bill number 2 off of the second budget amendment? Yes.
So I'll make a motion to approve 3 and 4 then, with 1 and 2 removed.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Thank you. The second category is the 2024 budget amendments, and the first item there is our historian is bringing some really fresh ideas and new programs that she is planning on doing in the future. So she would like a conference room table, which she did have budget for that, but she would also like 10 conference room chairs to go around that, because what she wants to do is have meetings and do some work with the historic homes photos and put them up on the wall, so she would also like some frames. So I am leveraging money that we had from sale of equipment to help offset the cost of those expenditures. And then skipping number 2, going to number 3, we have the Carr Jones Traffic Safety and Connectivity Improvement Study going in. We're in the planning phase right now, and 20% is going to be borne by us, and 80% will be eventually paid by the state in terms of a reimbursement grant. So I am proposing, because this is the planning phase, that we pull money from our traffic mitigation account to cover the 20% local share. So that amounted to $74,895.20. The maximum design phase was $374,476.
So you're looking for approval of items 1 and 2? Yes. I'll make that motion.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Third item, back in our February meeting, the board, as a sponsor, approved the service award credits for the ambulance squad volunteers who achieved over 50 service credits. So that list was hung up in the emergency squad and therefore reviewed by the people who did earn the service credits. There were no changes to that list based on that 30-day posting, and so now the next step is to give the signed list that Supervisor Lando please sign, and then we give it to the Penflex, who is the pension administrator, and then that will be the basis on our, that will create the basis for our contribution in 2024.
So you need a motion to...
Actually, no.
You don't need it, right?
Information.
Okay.
Thank you. And the fourth item is asset disposition. Michael Monroe, who's our highway superintendent, is requesting to sell by Auctions International the Bobcat skid steer loader with attachments, a mowing tractor, and other miscellaneous items.
Somebody make a motion?
I'll make a motion. When's it gonna be, Mike? They're using the Bobcat. I'll bring the prices up anyways.
Second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Thank you. And then, for informational purposes, a 2012 John Deere loader was traded in for purchase of a new 2023 John Deere loader. The fifth item is personnel. Mike Monroe is requesting to attend the Cornell Local Road Program in Ithaca, New York, from June 3rd to June 5th. The training session entails overnight travel, so board approval is requested.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Thank you. The next item, Julie Johnson, who is the part-time clerk in the town clerk's office, has resigned from the position effective March 22nd, 2024, so the board is requested to approve that.
I'll make a motion to accept her resignation.
Second?
Second.
Favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Tammy Morgan, who is our senior clerk in the building department, is leaving her position there effective Monday, April 8th, in order to pursue the full-time position of clerk to the justice at the court building. Her rate of pay will be $30 an hour as the clerk to the justice, and if approved, her effective start date there will be April 9th.
Make a motion to approve Tammy Morgan.
Second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Matt Hart, who is our Assistant Recreation Director, was hired provisionally in January of 2020. He has since passed the exam. He is now eligible for permanent hire, so the board is requested to approve Matt Hart's permanent.
Make a
Good for
motion.
him. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Thank you. Todd Mena, who is our Program Events Coordinator, has submitted his letter of resignation effective April 16th, 2024, and the board is requested to accept his resignation.
I'll make a motion to approve Todd's resignation.
Second? Aye. Favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Thank you. Ross McNeil, who is our Recreation Director, would like to hire Riley Sterling as the Recreation Leader. So that position of Recreation Leader will replace the Program Events Coordinator position that was formerly held by Todd Mena. If approved, Riley will be hired provisionally at the grade 3 base rate of $21.37 an hour, pending completion of her onboarding process, which we estimate to be April 17th. Just for the background, Riley has been an active employee with the clerk since 2017 or so, in summer camp. And
She's a good employee.
Yeah, she's good.
Things, so she's a natural fit and we would like to...
I'll make a motion.
Is there a list for that, or can we second?
I'm not sure if there's a list, but she does have to take a test, so
Okay.
I'm assuming that...
This is pending complete successful.
Well, you have to take the test when it comes up.
I'll make a motion to approve her.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you. And lastly, and very importantly, an employee is requesting to receive 40 hours of donated sick leave to volunteer to drive an injured veteran to a reunion with his unit.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Anybody else got anything?
should be commended.
You want to make
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that motion.
all in favor of that one?
But that's not what we're about.
But then